Welcome in, everybody. You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got a fun one for you guys. We're going to be talking about the Vikings potentially pulling off a blockbuster trade in next year's NFL draft to potentially land the number one overall pick. Now, I know you're just saying, why are we talking about this right now? We're still in the season. A lot of football left to be played. To be honest with you guys, I was taking a flight home yesterday for Thanksgiving week. Our Chat Sports studios are in Dallas, and I was going back to Chicago to visit my family. And I had just the idea that the Vikings, if they do end up getting a top 10 pick, and let's just say the hypothetical of J.J. McCarthy, Max Brosmer, it's clear that those two aren't NFL starting caliber quarterbacks. Not saying that's a guarantee for both. We'll actually talk about Brosmer on the second half of today's show. But I think there's a possibility that the Vikings try to get ultra aggressive and try to land the number one overall pick to either select whether it's Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson, whoever the Vikings, brass falls in love with. So we'll talk about that, what that trade package could look like. I think it would include Jordan Addison. Then on the back half of today's show, talk about Max Brosmer. But I do want to dive into this. So before we do so, if you guys could hit that subscribe button today. You guys are going to be getting a lot more podcast-style videos from me this week as, not in the office, but still want you guys to get the best Vikings content out there. So hit that subscribe button today, and let's dive into it. So, I was taking a flight back yesterday, and I was just thinking about the Minnesota Vikings. It was more depressing thoughts in my head about this season, just still saying what the hell has happened. And I was just thinking about what could happen this offseason, because I do think the Vikings are one of the most interesting teams heading into this offseason just because of the question marks around the quarterback position. So we're going to take this hypothetical here. It's going to be, let's just say, J.J. McCarthy, it's clear he's not the guy. They want to bring in competition for him this offseason. And Max Brosmer goes out there, maybe shows you a little something, but more likely than not, he's not going to be the answer at the quarterback position. So let's just say the Vikings end up winning 4, 5, 6 games the rest of the year, and they end up landing a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Well, the team that's supposed to get the number one overall pick right now is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans don't need a quarterback, so I think they would be willing to move off that number one overall selection. So if you're the Minnesota Vikings, and let's just say you love Fernando Mendoza, you love Ty Simpson, and with the free agency class, not a lot of good options out there. You could bring in a couple guys for competition, but it's not going to change anything by any means. And you could also go trade for Mac Jones. I don't think that's too likely, especially with how much the Niners value him in that organization. But let's just say the Vikings call Tennessee. I think the trade package would be simple. I think it would be your own pick that year, so whether that's, Vikings selecting 7, 8, 9, or 10, a future first-round pick in 2027, then Jordan Addison. Keep it like that. 2 first, Jordan Addison, maybe if you want to include like a 3rd, 4th, 5th to sweeten the deal, since the Vikings should be getting a lot of comp picks this upcoming year, I think that could get it done. Now, that does remind me of when the Carolina Panthers traded with the Chicago Bears to get Bryce Young. Obviously, that trade didn't end up working out, but the trade package is pretty similar. They were attaching DJ Moore, a bunch of future draft capital, and they got it done. And plus, with where the Vikings are at right now, I find it hard to believe they're going to pay Jordan Addison $30 million per year this offseason, which is probably going to be his going rate. I mean, he's going to probably want that T. Higgins contract at least. So you attach Jordan Addison, which the Titans would have a ton of interest there. They need a young wide receiver to pair with Cam Ward. So you attach Addison, a top 10 pick, and a future one for the number one overall pick. I think this is going to be, I don't know if it's going to get talked a lot about this offseason, but I think this is going to be something that is sneakily in the works. Well, maybe we'll hear some rumblings coming from the scouting combine. Maybe we'll hear some rumblings, when the owners' meeting's going down, where it's like, hey, apparently Minnesota is getting really aggressive to go try and trade up and get their guy. Because if you guys remember, they were sending the haul for Drake May. They offered 4 first-round picks to move from 11 to 3 to land Drake May and get their guy. That was their number one overall player in that class. They wanted him that bad. And also just reality of situation, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, I'm not saying their seats are hot. I think Kwesi should be fired the day after the season ends. But if you want to kind of have a home run swing where it's like, hey, we're riding or dying, this is our last move, we're going all in on this quarterback, it could make some sense. Again, this was just me speculating on the plane ride home, just because I do think it's pretty likely that the Vikings do end up with a top 10 pick. Their schedule is brutal. And you also do have a valuable trade asset in Jordan Addison, to where if you have trying to trade up with a team who's, or even let's just say it's like the Saints or one of these teams up there where they already have their quarterback, even like the New York Giants, what if they end up getting that number 1 overall pick? I'd be like, hey, man, we'll give you Jordan Addison. We'll give you 2 future firsts, and we will go, move up with you and get the number 1 overall selection. I just think that's more likely than people will give it credit for. And, I only also think about this is this would also mean it's like JJ's done. And it's a tough reality because I've been, preaching patience here more than anybody and saying you got to give him until at least end of, next football season. But with how bad JJ has played, and I even think the biggest JJ McCarthy hater out there or doubter would not have expected this. I mean, he's just not even playable. Because then you also have to fight that balance where it's like, hey, at least he's being somewhat productive, even though we're not getting the exact quarterback play we want. It's just that tough fine line where it's like he's so unplayable, where it's like, can you even let him go out there and develop? And again, the NFL, the no feelings league, like they don't really care. Like they will, listen, jobs are on the line, millions are on the line every single week. I just think there's also a chance he doesn't suit up with the Vikings again, and that's a tough reality. Like, I'm so blown away by this, but it's been that bad. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully I'm being way too prisoner of the moment right now, and he can get back in that lab and just get it right. But the guy's got no confidence. This mechanics thing is clearly an issue. He's got no feel for the offense. It's just not a good marriage where you want a guy who's going to really push the ball down the field, make some big-time throws in the KOC offense, and it's just not a good marriage. Like, those two just don't really fit each other too well. So I think that's on the table. So, listen, I'll ask you guys, what are the chances if I can trade for the number 1 pick? Is this a ludicrous show to do? Maybe. But you guys let me know your thoughts down below. Now, I do want to wrap up today's show talking about Max Brosmer. I'm excited to see Brosmer play. I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't. But again, I am just a little nervous that everybody's so excited to see Brosmer go out there, and the tough reality is he'll probably go out there and it might be a disaster. And that's not even a slight to Brosmer. I think he could be a good quarterback in the NFL. We really don't know with these guys. And he's just playing the Seahawks and Mike McDonald on the road. It's one of the most creative defensive schemes in the league. He dominates young quarterbacks. And Brosmer step in there as a UDFA. Now, if he goes out there, shuts me up, he goes for 250-2, Vikings shock the world, and they beat the Seahawks, like, dude, that'll be fucking awesome. Because, listen, even though I'm a JJ McCarthy guy, I don't give a shit about where the franchise quarterback comes from. Well, it's a UDFA, it's in the draft, it's free agency, trade market, whatever. All that matters is you finding that guy. And the comparisons to this Vikings situation to the Niners situation when they had Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, it's eerily similar, everybody. Very, very similar, where it's like they drafted, quarterback in the top 10, top 5 for them specifically. Then they picked up a quarterback the next offseason. It's actually the same exact week when Brock Purdy went in there for the first time starting week 13. It's the same week that Brosmer's going in there. And also Brosmer and Purdy have a lot of similarities, like older, experienced guys. And honestly, I think listen, with how bad JJ's looked and the bar is literally at the floor, Brosmer's going to look better than JJ. I think this is an immediate upgrade. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that. You guys know how I feel about McCarthy. I think he was a great prospect, and I still think he can turn it around. It's just, man, the NFL can humble you really quick, and once you lose confidence, it can really derail a career. But I think Brosmer's going to be fine. Again, the Vikings are 10.5-point underdogs in Seattle. I cannot believe that, and we're not even we're just at Thanksgiving, and the Vikings are already, 2-possession underdogs against anybody in the league, which is incredibly disappointing. But again, with Brosmer, I'm just expecting KOC. He's going to dumb down the offense, get the ball out quick to these guys. Hopefully he uses a run game to support him. But if KOC treats Brosmer like how he was even treating Darnold and JJ, where he's asking to make these big-time throws, these big-time reads over and over again, it's probably not going to go well. And the one thing that I will say where KOC didn't really help up JJ to succeed, after going back and watching the Packers game, just from the All-22 version, I understand JJ's an NFL quarterback. He's also 22 years old. He's got no confidence. And KOC, some of these route combinations he's putting out there, it's asking JJ to make just big-time throw after big-time throw. It's like, dude, the guy's got no confidence. He's got no feel for the game right now. There's just nothing going well. And he's asking him to kind of get his confidence back by making some high-end, like, top 10 quarterback alive throws. Like, dude, set him up for success. Run the fucking football. Get the short passing game going. Do something to just get and make his life easier. So I don't even think KOC's been, helping out the young QB too much. But pretty much today I just want to talk about that. Like, why I think if this quarterback situation gets even worse, like, don't be shocked that the Vikings try to get aggressive here in the draft. Because, if you go out there and you win 5 games, you probably got a top 10 pick. Pair that pick up, pair Jordan Addison, pair future 1. Maybe try to move up to the number 1 overall selection, add a couple 3rd, 4th, and 5th out there. Like, I just think it's more likely than people think right now. And I can't believe we're talking about that. Like, if you would have told me, shit, man, what's today's date? November 20-something, November 25th? If you would have told me in August that on November 25th, when you would be flying back home for Thanksgiving, that you would have the thought of the Vikings trading up to the number 1 overall pick, I would have told you you're crazy. But that's just the tough reality of the NFL. So, hey, we appreciate all of you guys tuning in today. Happy Thanksgiving week. Enjoy it with your family. And we'll get on out of here. As always, let's go Vikes.